Let me ask you something. How is it possible that two people living in the same world with access to the same opportunities end up in completely different financial situations? One quietly builds wealth over time, slowly and almost invisibly, while the other earns more, spends more, and somehow remains stuck. What you're about to hear is inspired by the powerful ideas from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. At first, it doesn't make sense. You might assume it comes down to intelligence, education, or even luck, but the deeper truth is something most people overlook. Money is not primarily a game of knowledge, it is a game of behavior. And behavior is shaped by how you see the world, how you interpret your past, and how you respond to uncertainty. This is where everything begins. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel does not try to teach you complicated formulas. He shows you something much more important. He shows you how people think, because the way you think about money quietly determines the way you act with it. And the way you act with it determines everything you experience. So instead of treating this as a list of lessons, imagine it as a journey, a long, quiet journey shaped by small decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, but over time define your entire life. In the chapter called No One's Crazy, we begin to understand something that changes how you see other people and yourself. People make financial decisions that make sense to them, even if they don't make sense to you. Imagine someone who grew up surrounded by visible success. Expensive cars, large homes, a lifestyle that signals achievement. To them, money is something you show. It is something you express outwardly. Now imagine someone else who grew up in uncertainty, where money came and went, where stability was fragile. To them, money means safety, control, and protection. Both of these people grow up and begin earning. One spends to reflect success. The other saves to protect it. Neither is wrong. They are both acting based on their experiences. And that is the point. Your financial behavior is not driven by facts alone. It is shaped by your personal story. And unless you understand that story, you will keep repeating it. As we move into luck and risk, the story becomes more uncomfortable because we like to believe we are in control. We believe that if we work hard enough and make the right decisions, we will succeed. But life is not that predictable. There are forces you cannot control. Timing matters. Circumstances matter. Some people succeed not only because they are skilled, but because they were in the right place at the right time. Others fail not because they're incapable, but because something went wrong when they least expected it. The danger is assuming that everything is earned or everything is deserved. The truth is more complex. Those who understand this do not become passive. They become prepared. They build their lives with enough flexibility to survive uncertainty. And that is what allows them to continue when others stop. In Never Enough, we begin to see one of the most dangerous patterns, the idea that more will finally solve everything. It rarely does. As income increases, expectations increase. What once felt like success quickly becomes normal, and what is normal soon feels insufficient. This creates a cycle that never ends. You earn more, but you feel the same. You upgrade your life, but you increase your pressure. The problem is not the amount of money. The problem is the definition of enough. Those who never define it remain trapped in constant comparison. But those who decide what enough looks like create a boundary. And within that boundary, they find something rare. They find control over their own direction. Then we arrive at confounding compounding, where patience becomes everything. The power of compounding is not difficult to understand, but it is difficult to feel. At the beginning, nothing seems to happen. You save a little, invest a little, stay consistent, and see no visible result. It feels like effort without reward. And this is where most people stop, not because they are incapable, but because they are impatient. But compounding does not operate on your timeline. It operates on its own. And if you stay consistent long enough, what once felt invisible becomes undeniable. The key is not doing something big once. It is doing something small again and again, long enough for time to multiply it. In getting wealthy versus staying wealthy, a critical difference appears. Making money and keeping money are not the same skill. One requires taking risks, pursuing opportunities, and pushing forward. The other requires restraint, humility, and the ability to step back. Many people learn how to earn, but very few learn how to preserve. Because preserving wealth is not about chasing more. It is about protecting what you already have. It is about staying in the game long enough for your efforts to compound. And if you lose everything chasing more, you restart from zero. In freedom, everything becomes clear. The real value of money is not what it buys, but what it allows. It allows you to control your time, to make decisions without pressure, to walk away from situations that do not serve you. This is the highest form of wealth, not the visible kind, but the quiet kind, the kind that gives you space. And that space is what most people are truly looking for, even if they don't realize it. In the man in the car paradox, we confront a powerful illusion. People believe others admire their possessions, their lifestyle, their visible success. But in reality, people are not thinking about them. They are thinking about themselves. They see the car and imagine owning it. They are not admiring the person. This creates a strange cycle where people spend money to impress others, but the impression never works the way they expect. Understanding this changes everything, because once you stop trying to impress, you start making decisions that actually serve you. In wealth is what you don't see. The truth becomes even clearer. Real wealth is invisible. It is not what you show, but what you keep. Savings, investments, and options that quietly grow over time. These things do not attract attention, but they create stability and control. The problem is that invisible wealth does not feel rewarding in the short term, so people ignore it and chase visible wealth instead. But over time, invisible wealth becomes the foundation of everything. In Save Money, the message becomes simple again. Wealth is not about how much you earn. It is about how much you keep. Saving is not about restriction. It is about creating distance between what you earn and what you spend. That distance becomes your protection and your opportunity. And it is something almost everyone can control. In Reasonable over Rational, we see that perfect decisions are not necessary. Sustainable decisions are. Life is not perfectly logical. It is emotional and unpredictable. Trying to optimize everything can lead to decisions that are impossible to maintain. Being reasonable means making choices you can live with and repeat. And repetition is what creates results. In Room for Error, the importance of safety becomes clear. You cannot predict the future perfectly, but you can prepare for uncertainty. Leaving space for mistakes, for unexpected events, for things going wrong is not weakness. It is awareness, because something will go wrong. The question is whether you are ready for it. In You'll Change, we are reminded that life evolves. Your goals will change. Your priorities will shift. What you want today may not be what you want tomorrow. If your financial decisions are too rigid, they will eventually conflict with who you become. Flexibility is necessary because growth always changes direction. In the Seduction of Pessimism, we see how easy it is to become negative, to focus on risks and worst-case scenarios. While awareness is important, being consumed by fear stops progress. Balance is what matters, seeing reality clearly without becoming paralyzed by it. And then we arrive at something deeper in the chapter, When You'll Believe Anything. This is where the story becomes personal, because people do not always believe what is true. They believe what feels right. They believe stories that match their emotions, their fears, and their desires. Someone who fears losing money will believe anything that promises safety. Someone chasing quick success will believe anything that promises fast results. And that is how people fall into traps, not because they lack intelligence, but because they follow narratives that confirm what they already want to believe. Understanding this gives you an advantage, because once you recognize your own biases, you stop blindly following them. As everything comes together, we reach all together now. And this is where the message becomes simple. Money is not about intelligence. It is not about perfect strategies. It is about behavior, patience, consistency, self-awareness, understanding your own limits and working within them. All of these ideas are not separate. They are connected. They form one system, a system that determines whether you move forward or stay where you are. Finally, we arrive at confessions, not as a list of rules, but as a way of thinking. Simple ideas that guide behavior. Spend less than you earn. Avoid unnecessary risk. Value time over status. Stay humble when things go well and stay steady when they don't. These are not complicated strategies. They are simple principles, but applied consistently, they become powerful. And now the story becomes yours, because every day you are making decisions quietly, repeatedly, and those decisions are shaping your future, whether you notice it or not. The only question is where they are taking you. If you want to understand money, behavior, and success at a deeper level, subscribe, because here we don't just go through ideas. We change how you think. And once you change how you think, everything else begins to follow.